Hello and welcome to Sheeppack Unleashed. I'm one of your hosts, Tanya.
I'm Nicole. Welcome to your weekly dose of candid discussion in the pursuit of finding your tribe in this journey of womanhood, motherhood, and sisterhood.
I'm Ashley. Join us as we leave no stone unturned. In each episode, we have heart-to-heart conversations that aim to challenge and empower one another.
I'm Jenny. No more waiting. Sheeppack Unleashed begins now.
On this week's episode, the pressure parents feel to keep up with societal expectations. All right, friends, on this week, we are going to talk about pressure that parents feel from other parents. The pressure that we can internalize from what we see out in the world, in society, all of those things.
The so-called like keeping up with the Joneses.
Keeping up with the Joneses.
It's still
of today's age, for sure.
Yeah, today's keeping up with the Joneses is online a lot. At least maybe that's a pandemic leftover, but I see
It's part of it.
I see a lot online and a lot of targeted marketing and all that kind of stuff, like mom groups on Facebook. There's a lot of...
Well, also seeing like your friends post online and you're only really seeing the like what we call the highlight reel.
Yep.
But it's hard to forget that that's the remember that that's the highlight reel, because I'm like, look at that perfect... Even when I got Christmas photos from you guys, I was like, look at all that like perfect Christmas photo. I can't get a shit photo to save my life.
Look at my Christmas photo, and I haven't posted anything for 6 months because there was nothing nice to say for 6 months.
I loved your Christmas photo, and we
Really?
take so many pictures, and I pay someone good money.
But like, how do you get your kid to take that many pictures?
I bribe them.
Okay. But I mean, like, that's like a whole thing you see. Like, I saw this like picture perfect and Luna with the ponies and the unicorn. And I'm like, look at, they just spend their weekends with unicorns and we don't do that.
We can. I can make unicorns happen for you.
But it's just like when you see online
Yeah.
what other people are doing, you have like this, nobody posts the tantrum.
Well, and we're also in the age of influencers, right?
Yeah.
And not only like adult influencers, but kid influencers.
It's gotten really bad last couple years.
Right? Like I think about Ryan's World, right? My son's name is Ryan. And so he immediately like grabbed onto that show initially. And I was like, I hate this so much, because that family legit bought a second house to just record content in and get all of these toys sent to him for free for them to play with. I don't know if they destroy them on that channel, but there's other ones where like they just destroy shit. And I'm like trying to explain to my son why this is not a healthy example of something to like aspire to.
Well, on that note, you're going to see a lot more, I think, legislation in the next few years about children in influencer families and content.
I hope so. There's so many laws about advertising to kids for other things.
Well, it's not even that. There's so many laws for child actors that protect them, but they are not child actors.
True.
And they do not get the same protection. They do not get their money put away that they make. They're used for content and exploited. And like, there's a whole big movement on social media where you're seeing a lot of these influencers take their kids off and not use them as content
Wow.
because of that. But
I'm glad to hear that.
yeah. I mean, I'm seeing a lot more of that, and there's a lot more conversations happening about that. But even just seeing like people my kids go to school with posting things like about what they're doing that weekend or this great adventure they had yesterday. And I was like, I did laundry.
I would love to take a picture of my son actually folding laundry. That would be worth documenting and putting on social media, because that would be a momentous occasion.
But would you post that, right? Like, you're not posting those
So
mundane things.
it's really interesting, right? So I did work for 5 years, right, on social media, right? When I had my clothing boutique, and I was the brand. My family became the brand as well. And I found myself falling into that very slippery slope of documenting the mundane, the little everyday things, to make it available to the people that bought from me and my community of people that I built, for them to know who I was, why I was doing what I was, why I had the boutique, why I was choosing the route that I did to make my income. But it also came at the cost of like, we would be playing and I'm like, oh, that's a really good angle. Let me like get that photo real quick. And I tried to make it organic, but it also was so icky. By the end of it, I was like, this, I don't like
But
it.
you
And
felt
I
like-
took a whole social media hiatus for almost a year after it, because I was like, this is not
but that's what everybody else was doing. So that's why you did it, right?
partly
Yeah.
right. And I will say, I look back on the photos that I took during those 5 years, and I took so many photos of little moments that I'm glad I have. And now, like, I look back at my camera roll and I don't have nearly the same number of photos in those little moments that I did in that time. So it's this very tricky double-edged sword, right? That I feel like I was trying to keep up with myself in that moment, right? And this idea that I was putting forward, and I was really trying to be truthful. And I would post pictures of tantrums. I would post pictures of the not pretty things. But then it was like, posted with this very poignant text and all the things that like I didn't feel in that moment, but I felt like I needed to make it pretty and make it relatable and all the things.
Yeah.
Do you feel like it was too personal, too intimate almost, sharing those
There
things?
were times, yes.
Okay.
And I mean, I did try really hard to, like I said, I would try to keep it in the background. I'm sure that Ryan started to pick up on some of it, but like it never got to a point where Ryan would question it or he would, ask about it or anything like that. But it came to a point where I realized I was being pulled out of a very special moment with my child because I was like, oh, I should document this too.
Instead of it being a special memory just for you.
Mm-hmm. But also I do live my life through photographs. I've said it before and I will say it again. My memory is crap.
You're the only person I know that takes so many pictures of plants.
I love taking photos, but I mean, I grew up as a nature photographer, right? Like when my dad and I would go out and do our adventures together, we talked about on one of our previous episodes, like I grew up doing photography. So that was very much a core of my childhood, of my growing up, that I was a photographer, like nature photography primarily. Like I don't love photographing people, but that is very much something of just like who I am. And that is a hobby.
Now, keep in mind they happen to go to a private school right now, but it's led to some interesting conversations. Like a lot of the families where my kids go to school value travel and have the privilege and the means to go on really cool trips, often internationally. And so Cruz was like, okay, so for Christmas, we'll go to this country, and then spring break, we'll go to this country. And in the summer, maybe we can do Alaska again. And I mean, bless his heart. I love that he values travel to the point where he asked for trips instead of physical gifts, which, whoa, that's amazing. But also like had to have a real conversation about like, hey, I know some of the families at your school can do that, but this is unusual. And most families in the country, at least where we live, even though we are very comfortable, like that is not the norm. And let's talk about where to put our budget and like try to have like reasonable expectations, which I think he got on board with, and we made a plan together. But it was a tough conversation to like figure out how to explain.
I think it's just understanding the dynamics of it. Like my kids get an option of a birthday party or a trip for their birthday. And when they choose the trip, we literally do an after trip debrief and we walk through everything we spent.
Oh,
That's
how
a great
much
life lesson.
everything cost and what that trip, that experience you just had cost. And here's how much a birthday party would have been.
that's so smart.
And we talk through the whole thing so that they understand
the value.
like you got this great experience, but it was not cheap.
I've had very high level conversations with Ryan.
Oh,
like
no,
we
we
went to
break it
Disney.
Oh no,
Right. We
have
went
the
to
numbers
Disney
conversation
2 years ago. Right. And I've given him like the big number. And so he has like a benchmark, but we didn't talk about like the breakdown of like, here's how much the driving cost. Here's how much the hotel or the condo cost. And here's how much the park tickets cost. But that's so smart to give them that context. And I saw his teacher actually had them do an exercise where they all got, like a group of them got $3,000 and they had to travel to 3 different countries and they had to find ways to actually like make it affordable.
Oh, wow.
And it was the neatest exercise. I was like, oh, that's really cool.
That's a very real
But
world.
it's that idea. But this is like a very actual tangible application of that.
Yeah, we do it for a lot of things. Like when we bought a new house, we talked about how much it cost for this house, how much our current house cost, what the difference in payment was going to be. Like we have those big discussions with our kids, specifically when we live in this like world of consumerism, and they are super lucky that they are privileged enough that we can provide these things for them, but I don't want them to lose sight of that. And I don't want the opposite experience for them to go to school and say like, we're going on this like big trip and we just came back from here from spring break.
Yeah, without being sensitive that other kids in their class maybe don't get those experiences.
Yeah. It depends on like the communities they're in and who they're around, but good for them to be aware. I mean, it shows up in little ways too. Like my 4-year-old now has a Stanley water bottle.
Her and I are twins. What color's her, Stanley?
Light pink.
Oh, okay.
And it started off innocently. Like my kids have to have a water bottle at school. His keep breaking or like getting moldy. And I posted on like the parent page for that grade, like, hey guys, like looking for suggestions for a water bottle. And somebody immediately posted the Stanley. And I was like, say what? Like it never even crossed my mind that this is a thing you would buy for yourself, much less a child.
Yeah, other
To put in their
communities wouldn't
backpack,
answer
To put in
that.
their backpacks to bring to school.
But it's like not the
But it's
standard
open.
Stanley with the straw, is it?
No, it was
Yeah,
like
there's like a
the
different
hangy
version.
one.
Oh,
A
I was
smaller
like, that
hanging
makes no sense.
It's not my
to go in their
Stanley.
backpack.
No,
Okay,
it's
sorry.
but it's still.
I
Like,
do not have a Stanley.
I buy like
I don't
the
either. No.
$4 one from Target that's in the kids section. Now maybe that's why they keep breaking and it's time to up. And so that's what they ended up getting for Christmas. They both got, and they were so excited to the point where it made me a little uncomfortable. Like, is this about the fact that it is a really nice water bottle and it does keep the water cold and the ice actually frozen the whole day and they can enjoy it? Or is this about like the logo and them feeling a
social
certain way about
statement.
that? And I'm
It's like social
a
currency.
little bit uncomfortable with that.
But I guess my like, why? Like, it's okay to want something that is also like popular, right?
Yes.
I think if you know that, like we grew up with a lot of that consumerism too, or certain brands meant a certain social status. That this is just like
I didn't
the
buy
2024
Abercrombie and
version.
Fitch because I thought they were cute.
Exactly. Yes. Yes. In fact, I had an interesting conversation with Bob about that. How like the butt pocket of jeans, you can tell what brand they are because of that. So this is, it's another logo, but that's, the 2024 version of, Abercrombie
But I think
jeans.
there's some benefit to saying like, are you trying to keep up with every trend? No, but does this one thing it's a trend or it's like this thing on it? If you understand that that's what you're doing.
I think it's partly about the parent. It's also about the child
Yeah.
and the importance that they place on it. And so then we like in turn take that upon ourselves too, because it's our job to teach them the things that really matter in life and the things that maybe don't matter as much as you might think, right? And social pressures and in school in particular are very tricky. And so I think it's a valuable thing to acknowledge that there is social currency that comes with certain things like that. They are also functional. So I understand like the kind of sticky situation that leaves you in.
And that's something I wonder too, like how much of these trends are because they're trendy and a logo, how much is because it's actually like a superior thing.
Yeah.
And everyone else did the homework already, so I don't have to, you know?
Yes.
It's
How
like
much of
both,
that?
right? Because they are actually the best cops.
They really
But
are.
then,
I mean,
Now that I
it's
have
tough,
one,
yes.
I'm a convert.
but they're trendy
Yeah.
because they're good products. But my kid will tell you that like we're so uncool because we don't have a minivan. Like that's the like all his friends' parents have minivans and they get to just push the button and their doors open at carpool and like why do we have this old crappy non-minivan
Yeah, okay.
car?
You get a minivan, and they ask why you don't have like a Model X with the bat wings next.
I know.
It's one thing
But,
after
like,
another.
But it's like one of those things that you have to explain like, oh, I'm not like a cool parent because I don't have a minivan. So like, am I supposed like all the parents have minivans? I'm like the only non-minivan driver.
It's so interesting. Like, I'm just now realizing as we are talking, my son has never come to me and asked me for something because it was cool or told me that we couldn't have something because it wasn't cool. Like,
Oh, it's
that's very
coming.
fascinating.
Interesting.
It's coming.
And he's 9 in
Yeah.
4th grade. Like, I'm sure come next grade, maybe, or like middle school, without a doubt, right?
Maybe
But,
he's
like,
cooler than you realize.
I mean,
Maybe
it
he sets
gives
the
me
standard
hope.
of cool.
Yeah.
It gives me hope that maybe like he's less phased by it than I maybe even was when I was a kid, right? Because I very much remember those trends, and
Me
I
too.
remember like,
Same.
okay, who else had the wooden sold candies?
Oh,
Just
yeah.
me?
No, I wanted them. We couldn't afford
Oh,
them.
okay.
Yeah. And I would say a lot of the pressure I feel as a parent to keep up is the insecurities I had as a child for not having things because we
So
didn't
true.
have money.
Mm-hmm.
And so I have this like, oh my God, they're going to think I'm less because I don't have it and because I can't afford to have it or I didn't have it because I had so much of that trauma as a child growing up in a very affluential area where people came half time and lived in their vacation homes and we were the working class people there. So I have real therapy problems that I have to work through on those.
They're not therapy problems; they're therapy topics.
Yeah, the therapy. Abigail, if you're listening, don't listen to this podcast.
Shout out to Abigail.
Hey, Abigail,
We
don't
love
listen to
Abigail.
this podcast. All the bad
So wait,
traumas.
circling back, right? So the idea of like the ones that are good for the kids or could be good for the kids as well. One of the issues that I feel a lot of parental pressure in is the idea of like extracurricular activities.
Yes.
Yeah.
I feel that so deep in my soul that having him in sports routinely would help that issue, right? And so there's a very positive benefit that can come from that. Of course, there's also other potential positive benefits in terms of learning how to work with a team and learning how to work with other adults who are not your parents and those kind of things. But the kid doesn't want to do them, right? And so I feel like I am not a good parent sometimes because he's not in soccer this season and basketball this season and baseball that season. And then, you know, we've got swim in the summer and like
And I was going to ask, are they the traditional seasonal sports that he's not interested in?
that. I've also tried non-traditional.
Okay, cool.
Because I was also a non-traditional
Yep.
sport kid, right? Like I tried to do traditional sports. I did soccer for 7 seasons when I was a kid. Hated it. Absolutely hated it. And then in high school, I did 1 year of tennis. Also, it was okay because if I lost, I lost. But also my points hurt my team. And I hated that idea. And then I found rock climbing. And I loved that because it was all about me. Like if I didn't do a route, it only affected me. If I did a route, great, right? And I had friends there to cheer me on. And so we've even tried rock climbing camps with him. And like, I was like, maybe this will be his thing because it's not that traditional team mentality. And he's like, okay, it's fun for a week. It's fun for a camp, but he doesn't want to stick with it.
A big commitment too. Yeah.
Yeah. And so like, I feel that pressure a
You're
lot
following
and I
his
still
lead.
do.
You're following his lead versus like my kid wants to do more than one thing a season. And I'm like, you can do one.
Yeah.
Like I don't have the bandwidth and or the financials to like bankroll. Like my kid wants to do soccer plus Mandarin lessons
Uh-huh.
plus like swim. And I'm like,
So ambitious, but also like rest.
My child
sometimes.
is the same way.
And
Sign
so
up for everything.
expensive.
Yeah.
Can we talk about the expense of all of these things
It's
too?
ridiculous.
Like,
he takes Mandarin lessons once a week and it costs me an exorbitant amount of money.
I hope he uses it one day.
Oh my God, he wants to go to China so desperately.
That's true. He does.
so he wants,
he's
Sticking to
prepared.
the
God
plan.
bless.
I mean,
Man's got a plan.
since he was like 4,
Yeah.
he wants to go to China.
I love it.
And so he's,
But he's consistently working towards that. Like,
Yes.
I respect that so much.
yes, it is his ultimate goal in life is to go to China. And we're not there yet.
I love it. But yeah, I don't know. I don't know if any of you all have experienced that kind of pressure or just maybe, from other avenues.
No, I've very much experienced that too because my kids are not interested either. And that's why I was asking if you've tried the non-traditional things.
yeah.
For anyone listening too, the Summer Olympics are coming up. So that's a great chance to just be like casually exposed to a lot of
What's in the
different
Summer
sports.
Olympics.
A shit ton of cool stuff. Oh my
I
gosh.
never really watched the Olympics.
Oh, I love it. Like I'm not athletic, minus cheerleading, but like I guess dancing. Okay, anyway.
I know the big ones. There's like track, there's swim.
But there's all the field things that come with track too.
Okay.
And there's all the cross country things. And there's like the run real far, shoot a rifle, and run
do
some
I
more
give-
kind
Oh my
of
God.
things.
Can I tell you?
Judo,
my child.
karate, all the horseback riding stuff.
All the horseback
Oh.
riding stuff is cool.
archery,
sport?
canoe, flat
Yeah.
water, table
Oh,
tennis,
crew
water
is like
polo.
amazing to watch. Water polo for the longest time, I thought you played on a horse in the pool.
I mean, I can
Wait,
see why you would think.
What is water polo?
It's like polo, but in the water without a horse.
There's
You
no
have to
horses
swim.
involved.
Listen, do I look like the
It's
sports
like water
girly
rugby
you?
in a way.
I know.
Not
That's
it.
total side thought of my.
Yeah, but it
Dumb
goes
moment.
back to there's a ton of pressure as parents, especially
Yeah.
like when their kids are seeing. I feel like there's a lot of pressure of technology to get my kid a phone and get
Oh
him.
my
Yes.
God, yes.
Like I am not getting my kid a phone until he has to drive.
Yeah. I mean,
Like-
just last week when we were on vacation, Calvin's like, the other kids at the kids camp have phones. I'm like, good for them. We're here. Like, be grateful.
Yeah. Yeah. I'm part of that because I got Cruz a Gab Watch pretty early for the tracking.
Yeah,
And he's already like, when can I get a phone? And I'm like, no, sir.
No.
Like, I have
Yeah.
what I need. You can call me.
I don't trust them to keep up with a phone.
he
They're
can't even
8
keep
and
his
9.
Can't even keep his watch on.
No.
Okay, like his watch is in the bottom of a backpack somewhere.
Were you
Yep.
guys, was it you guys or someone else was joking with me that we could easily just strap that watch onto his ankle and it can just be like a prison monitoring?
Seriously,
I do that with the air tag.
Oh,
Yeah.
Yeah,
you're
and
there
in his
you go.
socks
Yeah.
or shoes.
Yep,
Yeah,
that's
I
not
mean,
right.
there's definitely a financial strain across the board from trying to keep up with all this. But I think for me, what's top of mind is like this consumerism culture that we very much have,
Yeah.
especially as Americans. That's not true for some of my family that lives in South America. And even like how we think about what is trash versus what can I fix or what do I
Interesting.
clean and take care of, it's definitely like very, very different. And I want him to, and both of them, but particularly him, as he's deciding what's cool and not, to like know the value of something, know the hard work it takes to get the money to purchase it, and to like respect his things. And that's hard to teach.
Yeah, I mean, both of my kids have Switches, right? Like super consumerism right there, but like we also use them a ton. But they have dropped them. They don't work as well anymore. The remotes don't go in. They have to play with them outside the remote because they don't connect right. But like
Sounds like natural consequences to
like,
some extent.
it
And that's a
is.
privilege in itself to
They
say
don't
it's a
get a
natural
new one.
consequence.
They don't get
they're not
replacements.
getting a new one. They're not getting a replacement. This one is the one you have until you either get it for a new gift from somebody or you have enough money to buy a new one.
Yes.
Like
Yeah.
this is the one I got you. You're welcome.
Yeah.
And that's that. And I feel like, post, I know the holidays were a couple months ago, but there's a lot of pressure around the holidays when it comes to like
So
the amount of
much.
presents people are getting, like stacks. There was like all these TikTok hauls of like these kids getting thousands and thousands
It's
of dollars.
the Christmas Eve post for me where all the kids are in bed and the parents post a picture of all the presents and the tree and their quiet, Santa moment that they had. And it's like, that's so much shit. that's so much wrapping paper you gotta throw away in the morning. Like,
It's not good for the earth.
right? Like, do you have batteries for all of that ready to go? Otherwise, you're going to be like the boring parent who can't let your kid play with this stuff. Like, it's just so much to do. And then I'm sitting there like, my kids got their, 4 things and
Mine
that's
do.
it. They're,
Yeah.
they're
For
want, need,
Santa.
wear, read stuff. So,
And so for people who don't know, there's this trend that Santa only brings 4 Christmas presents. It's something you want, something you need, something to wear, and something to read. And if you wanted to buy something extravagant,
that's from mom and dad.
Yeah,
came
we do
from
it
mom and
differently.
dad.
We do the 4 things are from us. And then
Okay.
Santa
We do the
does
4
one
things from
thing.
us.
Oh, we don't do
Okay.
Santa at all.
Santa does little things in our family. The 4 things come from us, and like his watch was something he needed because we recognized that we wanted him to have more independence. It wasn't something that he necessarily had asked for, but we saw the need, and so we assigned that one.
My kids got compression travel bags as their need.
That's amazing. I
I
love
did that
mine.
one year. Might have been in their Easter baskets, honestly.
I was like, you need compression garment bags because we need these
Yeah.
for the suitcases. But like the pressure of like, even just like I think we were talking about earlier, like Elf on the Shelf from
Yeah.
the
Oh,
holidays.
Let's talk about Elf on the Shelf.
My God,
for a
it's the
second.
worst thing I
Wait,
ever
who,
started.
Who does Elf on the Shelf here?
Hard pass.
Hard pass.
We do Elf on the Shelf.
You're the only one, Nicole.
I wish we hadn't, but now we did, and
Absolutely
it's forever.
not.
We're here.
Once upon a time, someone gave, I think it was my parents, sorry, Mom, gave us an Elf on the Shelf for cruise. And we like had it for a little bit, but it was like a Christmas gift. So he didn't like bounce around and he was too young to really understand like the magic of the story. And then he got lost in a move and then we just never found him again. And then Luna keeps asking, like, everyone else has an elf, Mom, and the elf's watching, and the elf this, and the elf that. And her classroom has an elf, Hermie. And so, but it made it really easy for her to go to school. She was like, I have to go. I have to see where Hermie is today. So, like, there was some magic, and I'm glad she got it there. But I have zero desire to have one at home. And she did not understand. In her mind, everyone, air quotes, has an elf on the
No,
shelf.
it's so much
she
work.
doesn't.
Concept of it.
Oh, it
Yeah,
gets
well,
worse.
that-
She
that
then told me
itself.
that the little blue blinky light in the room, that was her elf. He was in the light.
No.
I
Oh,
just think
baby.
about all the stuff from Elf on the Shelf on Pinterest, where it's just, they're
Buy
they're
more
laying in the
stuff.
powdered sugar and they're doing this thing and they're hanging from the chandelier and it's like,
Yeah, that was me. I'm not gonna lie to you.
And it could be
oh,
fun.
and I appreciate that.
Right,
But for
I
me,
felt-
that's like the parental peer pressure.
Right,
It's like,
I felt
I'm
the
not
pressure.
creative like that. I can't
Well,
think of those things.
I buy a kit now.
Exactly. So
I buy
it's like
kit
the
now.
time to do it. It's the like emotional
become
burden.
monetized.
It's the mental
Yeah.
burden to remember it and then to buy it. And
Yeah. And I started it when Evan was an only child, and I felt like it was
seemed like a cute idea.
felt
I'm
like a
sure.
cute idea, and it felt like really like this is such Christmas magic. Not realizing I'm committing myself to like a 10+ year
We can make up a story.
like
Don't worry.
situation here,
We'll get you out.
right? And every year it's gotten harder and like more.
Do you repeat like the scenes?
No,
of
I
the
buy
elf?
a new kit.
Oh, and it tells you
you
like
need to
how
get like
to set
a
it
swap
up.
group with other moms. so
Yeah.
you can swap
It
the
gives
stuff.
me every
That's a
day
good
in the
idea.
package of each thing. I used to do it myself, and then I was F that. I don't have the time.
Yes.
Then I bought a kit. But even the kit is a lot of work. They're very like elaborate. And you have to buy them like early on. Like I buy it
Oh, yeah.
this year
Oh yeah,
for next
we
year.
got to buy our advent calendars early. We do Lego advent calendars every year, so those we got to buy
Oh.
early too.
Oh,
Talk about all the clutter that comes from Lego advent calendars. I love the concept of them, but like then I have to stare at this array of just random Lego. There's a little table and there's a little fireplace and there's
In like the
a couple
diorama of the box.
Uh-huh.
she's like absolutely not.
But I think that goes back to like this consumerism. Like it's
Yes.
just it's not good for the the environment. It's not good for the waste. Like you see so much in the buy nothing groups these days of people just
So true.
giving stuff away, and I know it needs to stop. I just don't know how to like break the cycle that I'm currently in of like wanting the new thing or wanting that. I see it in clothes too. Like I know we'll have episodes about style and what's on trend and our favorite things. And it's so tough for me because I think of that scene in Devil Wears Prada where it's like, yes, this is what they picked out for us, 2 years ago, that all of a sudden we're going to like this color or this kind of pant just so we spend more money. Like literally that's all. So on one hand, is it fun and do I want to be on trend? Yes. On the other hand, like
It comes at a cost.
it's icky and it's
Yeah.
not good for the environment. It's not good for our wallets. It's just, but how do we live in that society where this is the norm on so many different levels.
I think we buck the system. I mean, we were talking earlier about experiences.
Wear the skinny
instead.
jeans anyway.
I
Yeah.
am wearing the skinny jeans, although I do have
Super
like
You
I
hate skinny jeans.
I do, but this is my point. Like, I wish I would have just been like, no, I am a wide leg flare girl. F you.
But then you would have been ahead of the curve, like
Exactly.
when they came back
When it comes
around.
back around. But
it
there's
always comes back around.
so many things
Yeah,
that
Like, look, I'm
feel
wearing like bell bottomies
I
and
love
like
bell
flail.
Yes,
like,
very
Which, like,
70s.
I mean, then keeping up with the pressures that we feel, right, from outside sources, it makes it all the more frustrating, I think. And like, you know that it's all going to come back around, right? And so, which are the ones that you give into and you follow, and which are the ones that you're just like, no, like,
I
you're
think
going to
that-
ride it out with
I
this.
think it comes with age, right? You've
Yeah.
like literally lived long enough that you've seen the cycle over like 20 years, and then you can kind of predict it. But
But like,
when
how
you're-
about with our kids, right? Like,
but that's what I
in
mean. The kids,
terms
the
of-
kids can't see the cycle
Yeah.
yet, and we can sit here and tell them like, "Don't worry, it'll come back around."
Well, I
They're
still
like, "Yeah,
vividly
you're no
remember
cool."
being in elementary school. No, it was middle school, and wanting the bell-bottom jeans because bell-bottom jeans had come back
Yep.
around, and my mom all out like basically refused to buy them for me because they were a trend and because they got soaking wet in the winter and in
Sure
the rain
did.
and all the things, and sure as shit they did, right? She didn't want to get them for me, and I begged and begged and begged and begged, right? And so like I was so happy when I got them. I still remember when I got them.
Yep.
And so it's really hard to figure out the ones where you do cave and like where you hold your ground and just be like, it's too much. I don't know.
It's an individual decision.
So I saw this trend where if your kid, like you do back to school shopping, right? You give your kid the amount of money to spend for back to school shopping and their budget, and they go pick out whatever it is by their budget, shop for the stuff, decide if they want the Nikes or the non-Nikes.
I love
And if
it.
they spent their whole budget on the Nikes, then like then they don't have anything else.
I'm
Yes, you're
laughing.
going to school with no
I'm
underwear,
laugh-
bud.
I'm laughing because I legit just go to consignment sales and I buy my child's entire seasonal wardrobe at a consignment sale, and he doesn't give two shits about what I bring home. And I pick out stuff that I think that he's going to like, and that's what he gets.
You want to know
And
something interesting about
he
that?
doesn't care. Like, he gets particular about other things, I suppose, but the food, like the clothes.
I feel so much pressure to go to consignment sales.
Oh, really?
Yes.
Yes.
Versus like going to a regular store.
Yes.
Or just
and-
ordering
Yes.
it online.
Yes.
I'm part of the problem.
Like I will see things like the Kids Everywhere sale and all these things, and I'm
Uh-huh.
like, shit, I didn't know it was happening.
Do
If
you want to
you're
go
not there-
with me someday?
No.
No.
Do you need a buddy?
No,
No.
because
Oh.
I'll send you with a
Well,
shopping
here,
list.
I'll
Yeah.
give you many reasons why it doesn't work for me despite trying.
Okay.
And I tried more when like my kids were like babies because they were going through stuff so much faster.
Yeah.
But I found once they hit like older toddler, especially in the boys' clothes, there's no pants because all the knees have been worn
Yeah.
through. But ripped pants aren't trendy for kids like they are for us. So make that make sense. But the time that the stuff is open is during the work day, and I work. So it's been really difficult to get there. Or you got to be there early, and then you got to spend the time going through the stuff. And then I'm just like overstimulated,
accessible.
can't do it. Yeah, like my brain wiring doesn't like the way it's set up. So when I see those things on Facebook, like, oh, it's coming and you can get 50-cent onesies and $2 pants. And I'm like, I would love to, but I just don't have the bandwidth. I'm not available at that time. Like I want to, or I even want
Okay.
to like participate and give my stuff away.
Are you open to a suggestion on that?
Sure.
Okay. So we have all, right, taken mental health days. You've taken random days off from work. What if you took one of those days to go on the Thursday or on the Friday when that sale opens, to go and where you can get the good selection of the clothes that don't have all the holes in them and all the things, and try it that way one time?
That is what I have tried when I've gone.
Okay.
I've tried doing something
You
like
did
that.
go during the week.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
But this goes into that pressure of like we the three of us over here feel pressure to go to the consignment sale because otherwise we're part of the consumerism problem and you didn't buy it. second
Right.
I never
hand.
go shop them because it's the consumerism problem. I go and shop
it's 'cause
them
it's
because
cheap.
financially
Yeah,
it's
yeah.
what fits.
And
our
but it
I'm
also
totally
takes more
with you.
time.
It also
and there's a
Right,
cost to
right.
that.
Just like shopping around at different grocery stores takes more time. I hear people talking about like, I go to Aldi, I go to Harris Teeter, I go here and there for those things. I'm like, I don't got time for that
No.
shit.
I do
because
Walmart delivery.
while I hear what you're saying and I tried that, then there were still gaps in what the kids needed. So I
Okay.
still had to go make that other trip anyway to go buy the new stuff.
Yeah.
And in my mind at the time, it's like, well, I might as well have just done that and spent 10 extra minutes instead of 45 minutes.
Yeah, it
and,
very
like,
much it also does speak to our own personal strengths or you know
Right.
what we bring to the table.
That's true, because you're an excellent
me-
shopper to like go through all that stuff.
So
if I
stressful.
could shop for my job, my God, I would be so all
So
over
Tanya is available for hire for personal shopping.
What are you doing in a
do
couple
it.
of weeks for my spring wardrobe?
I do, absolutely. Let's do it, right? And I know we've done that before.
And I loved it because you're right. That's a strength for
But
you.
like I think about it now, right? Like going to TJ Maxx and Marshalls is a hobby for me.
Meanwhile,
And
I'm
you
like
just go
crying
through those
next to
racks.
you.
I mean,
Like,
I have
how are
panic
you
attacks.
doing this?
Just even thinking about walking into those stores.
And I'm just so impressed with how you go
I don't
about
want to go.
that.
I don't want to go in there.
But that's
Yep.
super interesting because, like, I just do a call out on our neighborhood Facebook group. Hi, I'm looking for a lot of clothes for a 9-year-old boy.
I also do that on our
And
community gifting
please-
groups,
Please
but
give it to
man,
me. But I do it a buy, like on the. But
Okay.
I'm looking for 9-year-old clothes for this
Oh,
season.
and
If
other
you
people offer
are
it up.
selling
Then they
it,
have
I
to do the
will
work.
buy the whole lot. I don't care what's in
Ah.
it. Just tell me the price for the
Uh-huh.
whole lot.
And you'll deal with it from there.
And I just take it all. Like, my kids don't care. The only thing my kids care about is that they're wearing the same shoes, which are the same shoes my husband wears.
That's so interesting because my kids care a lot. Sensory things.
Yeah.
But like they care
And
a lot.
Sensory, yeah.
they
Yeah.
wear sweatpants
They're
Uh-huh.
like cozy things.
because that's what my husband wears. Like,
They
have you
like
seen
that.
Evan? He wears like collared shirts and sweatpants because that's what my husband wears all
Business
day
on
long.
top, party on the
Really
bottom.
cute.
And the same exact sneakers. I have 3 pairs of the same sneakers in 3 different
Yeah.
sizes. Like, so
Well,
they
you don't got to keep up with all the different fancy sneakers and stuff.
And it's the same sneakers my husband has worn for the last 15 years.
What if it works for them? Power.
Yeah.
to
Yeah, it works for them, but it also feels like pressure. I see all these kids going with like cute clothes to school, and my kids
Yeah,
are
they're
going in
matchy
as,
outfits and stuff.
and my
It's
kids look
cute.
like literal hobos. Like they
Happy little
literally-
hobos.
Yeah, but they look like hobos, and they don't like want to cut their hair, or they don't want to
Mhm.
wear product in their hair. But all these other kids have like gel or spike already.
oh my God, trying to get product in my child's hair. My
Haircuts are another
God.
trend that I feel like
Yeah.
I can't keep up with.
Cruz likes to be styling with his hair. I feel like
Yeah,
He
but it
does
takes
do his
time for
hair
your
every
to, like,
morning.
grow.
he has like a look to his hair that like it was a choice when you had it cut, and like it requires styling, and I love that. Like I wish I could get Ryan to let me put some gel in his hair more than like once
Yeah.
every 3 months.
Sounds like your pressures are all yourself and what you see versus your kid giving them to you.
Yeah.
Yes.
yeah.
Yeah, it's the parental pressures.
Yeah,
for
for
sure
sure.
for me. The only time that I feel it from Ryan is when it comes to video games.
Yeah. Well, the kids like to tell me, my friends get to play video games and have all these electronics all week long, and you don't let us,
Mm-hmm.
and that's just not cool.
Guess we're just going to be not cool
I
then
know.
together.
Like, we're just not a cool family.
This conversation is making me reflect and feel incredibly grateful that my kids have a school uniform, because there is no conversation about 90% of their wardrobe. This is what it is.
Yep, same for
The
our
end.
school. I love it.
But I will say that my son has very strong opinions about his footwear. And for the longest time, I was like, what is wrong with these $20 sneakers from Target? Because he's growing so fast. Like,
Yeah.
let me just get. And it wasn't until I went out to dinner with a friend who went through the Catholic school system. He was like, it's because it's the only thing they can control. It's their only piece of their wardrobe where they have any
wow.
self-expression.
Mm-hmm.
And so I was like, okay, buddy, if this is really important to you, then you have to pay for it. And then the one summer he like worked all these lemonade stands to buy the basketball red bottomed Adidas sneakers.
Oh my gosh.
And he loves them. So in that way, I'm like, were we giving into something, very expensive sneaker that he doesn't need because it's cool? Yes. And also he worked for it. He set it as a goal and he bought it for himself. Like there's value in that.
He's understanding the
Too.
value of it.
Which
Yeah.
feels different to me than like, let me just buy you the next coolest sneaker.
Mhm.
Well,
every
we
time your foot
also give the
changes.
kids the options of when they're outgrown or are done with something to try to sell it. So,
Oh,
like,
that's cool.
we'll let them take the picture of it, we'll post it, or they can do it in our neighborhood yard sale. They pick all the things that they're ready to sell, and, like, they can then use that money to go buy things from if they're outgrown, or if they bought the, like, red bottom sneakers, and then, like, now they're outgrown them and they want a new pair, go sell those ones to the, because they probably wore them for, like, a year.
I'll
Yeah,
give them
so
to
they're
you,
learning.
Nicole.
I mean, my kids
He bought the
literally-
same exact pair in a bigger size.
Yeah. I
Oh,
mean,
Calvin's done that too. He
my
loves
whole
them.
entire family wears the same shoe size, like same
Oh,
shoe.
sorry. This isn't the sneaker that's on the track. I'll
Yeah.
give them to somebody else.
Like, this is not the sneaker. They only wear the same ones. My husband has literally rebought the same sneakers for 15 years. Like, they're the same ones.
Whereas
Over
my
and over
child will only replace a shoe. He literally wears one pair of shoes ever. and he will only replace them or let me replace them when his toes are like curled in the end. I'm like, can we just buy you some new shoes, please?
Oh,
He
that's
doesn't want to
funny.
do it. Oh, my baby.
There are tons of pressures out there for parents, for kids, and navigating it is not easy.
No.
And there's always going to be a new one. So I think the important thing is to recognize where they are and for you to figure out like where you fall, right? Like figuring out the ones that really matter, the ones that are worth pursuing and figuring out, and the ones that you just have to turn a blind eye to.
Yep. Got to accept it's different for every family. Everyone's situation is different.
And give yourself grace that like you don't necessarily have to keep up with everything, and like it's okay to say no to your kids even.
And it's okay for your kids' path to be different than other kids too.
Yeah.
And I am so grateful I have you ladies to chat this out with. It helps give me a sense of like reality. So thank you for being a part of my pack.
Well, and that wraps up this week's episode of She Pack Unleashed. We hope you enjoyed diving into the stories, insights, and laughter with us on this one.
Don't forget to subscribe so you never miss out on our fun adventures. We are at She Pack Unleashed on all the usual socials. Would love to interact with you there.
Thank you for being a part of our pack. This is Ashley, Jenny, Nicole, and Tanya signing off. Stay wild and fierce.
I can't wait till you guys actually hear these episodes, and then you hear like the smoothness of that I've cut together.
Oh no, I hear it.
I
All
love
four of
listening
them,
to
and I'm
it.
like, look at that shit right there.
So
Somebody else can get social media because I started.
I got you. I got it.
I fucked you all up.
It's like she's just gonna go on through.
You totally do.
You started it with the rapping, and then I
didn't mean to.
I couldn't- Are we at timer?
Yeah, well, we're past.
Okay.
Oh, okay.